right, family. All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. We are back again and just pulling up stakes, getting in here. Let me tell you, it has been somewhat of a challenge to make this go over again. But I want to tell you that we're kind of getting back up in here. It's been a while. I think the last time that we did this one like this, it was back in December. And so we're going to be talking about the Soundcraft MTK22 again. It's been about 6 months, and so there's some things that I have learned about the machine. There's some ways that I have been using it now. And so just like we're going to pick up where we left off, we were talking about being able to set up all the channels and get everything squared away inside the machine so that we know that when we set it up, it's going to be usable, because certain songs are not going to be usable in a particular fashion. So let me say this. Initially, when we were using the machine, we were using it with the Blackbird, Mackie Onyx Blackbird, okay? So let me show you the Onyx Blackbird, which is, let's see, this is the, can you see that? Let's see. You can. Okay, there it is. This is the Blackbird, the Onyx Blackbird, okay? And that unit will only do stereo out left and right, okay? Inputs and outputs left and right. It won't do multiple channels because it's designed to take multiple inputs across the 8, but its outputs are only going to be stereo left and right. So if you're using a piece of gear, I don't know about machine or anything else like that, if you're using a piece of gear that only lets you have 2 outlets, 2 stereo out left and right, then all you're going to have coming out of this particular board is your main outs, 1 and 2. And we're going to be looking at that in a little bit. You're only going to have main outs 1 and 2 right here, okay? And so when you have main outs 1 and 2 right here, that would be the same as those 2 coming out of the Onyx, stereo left and right. Okay, if it was coming out of there, it'd be coming out stereo left and right. Okay, so don't mind me, I'm still making some adjustments in the background because we just got set up to come in here to do this, and we're going to be picking up where we left off, and that's showing you where and how to make all of these tracks be individual tracks coming out of the board. Okay, so with that being said, just let me say, how is everybody doing? What's going on with you? It's been a while. Some of you know that my mother died, so I wasn't too particular about coming in here having to face anyone, because I wasn't in the condition, in a position to be able to face anybody. Okay, your mother died. So I did a few videos for the portion that I could stand. I had to get myself together and play that part in order to do those videos. So now I'm a lot better, where I can at least be out and about and working, and I started a company and things like that. So what we're going to do tonight is get into this board and talk about setting up the outputs, okay, on this. Okay, so we have a track that's here, that's being done, okay? And just so you see, I'll show you guys what it is that you have to do in order to make this thing crack, okay? So first of all, first thing you have to do, other than, have a recorded track, you can start with a blank slate. You don't have to have anything up. But in order to get something on the screen like I have it there, you're still going to have to set it up like this. So I just happen to have something there, And we're going to show you. Okay, so up here, first of all, when you come into we're just using Studio One. I don't know what software you're using, but you're going to have a software that can support multiple outputs. If your DAW cannot support multiple outputs, then you're going to have a hard time working with this, because Cakewalk only uses outputs 1 and 2. Like I told you, the Mackie Onyx, the Blackbird, only uses outputs 1 and 2. Some software will only support that. Okay, so you have to check your DAW and make sure that your DAW can work it. But if you're using Studio One or any other DAW, you're going to want to come down here where it says you want to configure your audio device or external devices. Either one will get you there. So we'll go audio device. Okay, and this right here says your audio setup. Okay, so an audio setup for Studio One. Now this different software does different things, but they usually always call it, something similar. We go to song setup, and here is where we have our inputs and outputs. Okay, now you can see my outputs are already defaulted only to left and right. So that's the reason why you only get, output 1 and 2 on the mixer. Okay, and we were showing that before, where you only get outputs 1 and 2 on the mixer. So when you only get outputs 1 and 2 on the mixer, you're only going to get from what we're looking at on the screen, you're only going to get these two guys here. You're only going to get this. Okay, that's all you're going to get. If you see outputs 1 and 2, if for your hardware is going to give you those two outputs there. Okay, you're only going to get those two outputs. Or on the screen, you're going to see that all you're going to get is outputs 1 and 2, left and right. That's stereo, left and right. So that's what we have to fix in order to make this work right for us, right? That's the thing that we're going to want to fix. Okay, so that's where we're going to be going, so we can make this work the right way we want it to work. Okay, so that's what we're going to work on now. All right. First things first, we're going to do the inputs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of these inputs, bring my keyboard over here. I'm going to take all these inputs out. Okay, I just go click that first one, hit the shift key, hit the bottom one, and I'm going to say delete. It's going to tell me that I still do, there's a bunch of them in there, or I still want to take them out. I'm saying yes, I am. Okay, so they're all gone now, right? So now I need to set up inputs that will allow me to be able to put inputs back into the system. Because without having those inputs, you won't be able to get your guitars in, you won't be able to get your drums in, you won't be able to get anything in if you don't have those inputs. So you need those inputs, and those inputs are everything at this point, right? So that's what you need in order to make that happen. All right, so now that you have that, then what we're going to do is we're going to move forward. Okay, so let's move forward. Okay. We'll move forward. So first thing we're going to do, down here you're going to see this one says add mono. The next one says add stereo. So what we want to do when we're putting these together is we want to make sure that we have mono tracks and stereo tracks, because sometimes there's instruments that you want grouped together in stereo. A lot of times a piano or a keyboard, like this one here, will have an output that has a stereo out or a mono out. So it'll have a mono and in parentheses, and then it'll have another jack for stereo. And that allows you to be able to put speakers on separate sides of the stage and get, a more spatial sound. Or when you're recording, you want to be able to spread your piano out. It's a little bit more difficult to do with a mono signal. So if you get a stereo signal, you can spread it out, kind of left and right when you're panning. So that's the main thing. So you want to make sure that you have some stereo tracks and some mono tracks, okay? So when we're over here, what I do is, you see this goes 1 to 24. So first thing I do is I add a stereo track and then 2 monos. So add a bunch of them in here. I'll sort it out later, okay? So then I go back to the top, and what it is that if you see, I have a stereo track left and right, and then I've got 2 monos, stereo, 2 mono, 2 mono. Now I've got to line them up. So in order for me to have a mono 1 and 2, I got to bring this mono and this mono over. So mono 1, mono 2, stereo, 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 mono 1, mono 2, so forth and so on. Okay, and then we go stereo, mono 1, mono 2, and stereo, mono 1, mono 2, all the way down. So now, see, I'm only at oh, let me take this. I missed one. So we're going to see, and you're able to remove it. So I got to put another stereo, and I got to put another mono in there, which I can move over. And then I'll put a stereo, mono, mono, stereo, mono, mono. Okay, so now we got a stereo, mono, mono, stereo, mono, mono. Let me see where I'm at. Okay, because, see, my inputs, these are my inputs all the way over to 24. So when I get down here, I'm at 22. All right. I don't need a stereo 23, 24. And well, yeah, I do. Okay, so we'll go stereo, mono, mono. Okay, and we go mono, mono. Okay, for my inputs. Okay, because like I said, the last channel on your board, your master is your 20, 23, 24, and you need to use that one to fold back on everything. So if you notice, all of these are grayed out. Nothing is there yet, right? So what I'll do is I'll apply it, say apply, and then they'll all turn white. So that means that they're all active channels now. Okay, so now you can see my speech is right here on 25, 26, and 27. It wasn't there before because the channels weren't active. Now we have to go back through and name these channels. So this will be input. I'll just say input 1 and 2. Okay, then I'll go back through and I'll say this one, this is what takes time. Okay, so just stay with me. Just stay with me. Just stay with me. Okay, so you can see that's the tediousness of it, having to go back through and identify all the channels. So that's necessary, and I'll show you why on the other side. So those are all the inputs, and now we have to do the outputs. So you can see we only have two outputs here, so we got to pull outputs in also, right? All right, hang on. Also, the thing I should tell you is that these outputs, this output, instead of it being 1 and 2, it should be 21, 22. Okay? That's where you want your outputs. For that's your outputs for all your playback. As far as if you're listening to stereo left and right, just anything stereo left and right, your playback, you want that to be 21, 22. Okay? All right. And then we'll do the outputs. Now, for this one, when you get down here to 19, 20, 21, 22, you want to have 19, 20, and then 19, 20, 21, 22. All these last four are all going to be mono, okay, right here. Because you've already got 21 and 22 stereo up here. So you don't need stereo down here, okay? Just remember that, 19, 20, 21, 22. Now we go back and we'll name them babies. And now we'll go back and we'll give them all their regular names. So this is main out 1, 2, oops, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, so there we have it. Now we have them all, they're all named, all right? And so now what we want to do is we want to come over here and hit apply, and that'll make them all active. See, they all turn white. We say okay. Now we can go back into our song, go back up here to the top, hit song, and now we're back in here. Now on the mixer side, as we look at these, of course, you guys know how I lay my tracks out. I do something different now. I don't do it all the same way like I showed you the last time, but that's because I only had the board for a couple of days. Now I do something a little bit different. What I do now is I completely mix on the board and not in the box. The machine, the box here is just a tape machine now. Okay, I don't do any mixing in here. So if you see how I have this going up, down, up, down, up, down, because I'm mixing in the box, I no longer do that. Okay, so but I'll show you as I go along. Now, as you look, you can see all of these say main outs now. Okay, but when I hit one, see how I have all of this? These are all my outputs now. These are all my outputs that we just put in, right? And those are my buses that I've already had in there. And then our inputs are here. Oops, that's the drums. We don't need that. I need to go down to an audio channel because we're on a MIDI. Hold on. Let me go down to audio. All right, so then here is all my inputs now. Okay, here's all the inputs that we just put them in there. So you see the stereo input 1 and 2. And then we have the input 1, input 2, input 3, 4, input mono 3, mono 4, 5, 6 stereo, 5 mono, 5, 6 mono, 7, 8 stereo, 7 mono, 8 mono. So they're all in here now. Okay, and as you start to build your mixers and things like that, you'll start to figure out the way that you want to run your audio presence so that you can mix on the board. I'm showing you how to use the tape machine, how to use the computer now just as a tape machine only. All it's going to do is record for you, and then all your mixing will happen on the desk itself, just like we used to do in the old days. Okay, so with that being said, then let me show you this. Okay, so what I do now is that everything, as you see how all of these are down, so what I do is I put everything at 0 now. Okay, everything is at 0. Everything goes back to 0. This way, I'm mixing on the board and not in the machine itself. So everything goes to 0. Okay, this is how we can we're going to keep the board as being the main device that we do all of our work in. So we turn all of these to 0, and that brings them up to unity gain. Unity gain is that little line there in the middle. That's the even Steven. That's even gain when you come into your on your mixing board. Now we used to keep the board zeroed. When I was at Motown, the board always stayed 0 for the next engineer who came in behind you. So you made sure all the faders were down. You made sure all the knobs were turned back. If they had a detent in the center, where the like when you for your panning or whatever, that had to be dead center. So there's a detent when you turn that knob. It sits in the very middle. And so all of these are up. Yeah, all of these are up. So now we're all across the board. Everything is level. Okay. So now we're ready to start working on the board. Now, here's what happens. Now, my audio starts. See, my MIDI stops here. There's a thing that looks like a little castle. You have to look at it really, really closely, but it looks like a little castle right there. And this next one right here looks like a wave. So that wave is where my audio starts. And from here is where I'll start pulling in the audio that I want to mix. Now, the other thing that I do now is that I take everything away from the stereo bus. Okay, so I have a bus down here, and the bus goes to the main out. And I have a couple of different ways that I work with this now. So but I'll show you that later. I won't do it in this video, but I'll show you that in another video. There's a couple different ways I work with this now. So the first thing that I do here is let me see. No, there isn't. So what I ended up having to do is I've been taking these off. Okay. So now when we listen to it, we can see that we have everything going. Okay. You can see everything's going right there, and it says it's going to the main outs. Okay. Now we don't hear anything on the main outs. Okay. And you can see that it's actually working right there, but we don't see anything happening on the main outs. We don't see anything going on. Now, when we look down here, we're able to see that it is coming through the board. Okay, it's coming to the board. The mains are up. The mains are up right here. Okay. 21 and 22 are on and they're hot. Okay. So the USB button that brings it from the computer, which is up here at the top, you press USB to get it out of there into here. USB button, because it's coming in right here, right? It is pressed down. 21 and 22 is on, and now you hear it. Okay. So what's happening is that this is what I want to show you about the routing. So I'm bringing the audio out of this group here. Okay, this wire is going over to the audio interface over there. See it going in? See the audio going in over there? And I've got that on group 3. So on group 3, when I hit 21 and 22 here, and I hit group 3 because that's the masters. Here's group 2. There's group 3. Now we've got it. So when I pull those faders, it's gone. And so everything is gone because everything is going over to the other audio interface over there. Okay? So, but it's not in the master. See, it's not in the mains. So that's the thing. It's not over here in the mains. You know, that's where you would think it would be if it was up there and it said mains. Okay? So that's just something to think about when you start to handle your routing. That's one of the things about this board. This board has routing where, like I had said to you before, where you have your main outs back here. These two black ones are your main outs. Okay, that's your main. That's your main here. And then you have these guys here, which I have going to an amp next to me over here, okay, for the PA system. And then I have these going over to the laptop, and that's what's feeding our audio right now, okay? So by mere virtue of the fact that whichever button you push here is going to send your audio in a particular direction, and that's the GB routing that the Soundcraft was known for. You can send your signal in so many different directions to so many different things, and that way, you know, you can have a lot of things going on at once. So now, see, I'm sending my signal to the laptop right at this moment. So when we have this going, we've got our audio up there, okay? But the problem is that we're still mixing inside of there, okay? We're still in there as far as the mix is concerned, okay? So the thing about it is because we're still in the box and we're mixing, let's see, what are we listening to? Because those things are muted. So let me see. Oh, we're listening to the buses. We're listening to the buses down here. See, if you notice, everything says main out. So all the main outs are coming to, here's the main here. Here's the main channel here. Everything's going to the mains, okay? So with everything going to the mains, once we get to the board, I'm telling it what two outputs I want it to go out of. But it's going to the mains there, coming into the mains here, and I'm sending it somewhere else. But I want to be able to mix that track that's up there, right? I want to be able to mix that. So up here, I have to tell this thing what channels I want it to come out on. So let me do that for you real quick. All right. So let me see. Let me see what we got. Okay. So we got MIDI drums cracking. Which we gotta turn off. Every other MIDI instrument's going. We got that MIDI instrument going. And so here's the drums. All right, so the drums are in. We got all the instruments in. Yeah. So all the instruments are right here, folks. All the instruments are right here. Okay. And you can see we got some red going on down here, and we're over. We're pretty hot. See how hot we are down here? Okay. So with that being the case, then that means that we have to go over here and we have to reduce the volume of some of these signals coming into the channels here in order to keep us out of the red, because we're really pasting the red over here. Let me see. If you look down here, we're really pasting the red down here. You see my right down here? See how red that is? We got a red. So when we turn this on, we're pasting the red. And you can see that we have very little room. I turn it off, it comes right back on. So that means that our signals are super hot up there coming through the software. It keeps pegging the red. So we've got to lower some signals. So we'll take care of lowering some signals, okay? And the first thing we're going to do is that when you come to Studio One allows you to be able to grab these babies like this and pull them down. So I'm going to do the whole track because I don't want to just do one side of the track. So we'll do the whole track. We'll lower it like this. We'll take this one. We'll lower this one a little bit more. Because you see, because this is non-destructive, we can always go back and fix it. I'm just going to pull them all down just so I can show you how this is done. Okay, let's get rid of that. And we'll bring them all down. Oops, we'll just bring all of these babies down. Bring them all down. And I think that even this one may need to come down just a smidge. And we'll bring it down. So we'll reduce everything. Let's see what we got. Okay, we're still a little hot. And it sounds like it's the percussion. Oh yeah, look down here. Oh, that's a mix down track. Let's not even, well, you know what? Let's do that one too. Because where are we? We're right there. So here's what we're gonna do. We got the kick up here. There's a little bit loud. We're gonna bring that down. We got the kick here. It says it's loud. We're gonna bring that down. Shouldn't have too much of a problem with the hats and stuff. Let's see. Still hot. Still hot. Don't know which one it is. I'd have to take some time and go through. You know what? I have to take some time and go through it. But I'm thinking that it'll probably be one of these guys because they're still rather big. And because I have them shrunk all the way down, I really can't see the waveform. I got to stretch it out. I'm just taking a wild guess right now. And oh wait, let me see. Is everything off up here? Let's mute all of these guys. All this stuff muted. That's not muted. That could be a problem. Let's see. Still hot. Okay, so in the meantime and in between time, I'm just going to move forward because I don't want to take a whole lot of time. I just want to show you how to do this. But anyway, you're going to have to lower your volumes. And like I said, this is a track. This track was done a long time ago, like when I first got the board. So I'm showing you, we're doing a brand new track. Like I said before, a track that had not been set up at all. This is a track that has not been set up. So I have to go back through here, and I have to pay a lot of attention to signals and things and get stuff going because I did this one with the Mackie Blackbird. Okay, so then we're going to go back over to the mixer, and we're going to look at where's our audio? Here's our audio here. Okay, look at our audio. And first one, we're going to take that's on the master. Let's mute that. That's the drum master. So we're going to take this kick on the main out. We're going to put it on one output one. We're going to put this snare on output 2. We're going to put this hat on output 3. Output 3. And we're going to pull some faders down. I'm going to pull some faders down. And I'm going to turn that off because I want to hear it on I want to hear it. See, I just put that on one. I just put that on one, and it's right here right now. Snare. Hats. No hi-hats. Should be hi-hats. Oh no, there we go. All right, so we'll pull those down, and we have to make sure everything is on 3 because we're feeding the laptop right now, right? So, and all the laptop, don't forget, I have it patched as coming out there. So that's what's going to the laptop. If I wanted to hear what was coming through the PA monitor or through the monitors, I'd have to turn that monitor on, and then I could have all of the mains on. And when the mains are on, I'll be listening to those monitors left and right instead of coming through the laptop. Okay. So we're going to finish setting up some sound for the laptop. Okay. So we're at 1, 2, 3. We're going to go for the overheads, and we'll put those on 4. We'll put the overheads, we'll put the overhead, the room, and the bus on 4, and then those I'll mix from here to get a sound, because we only have 22 channels here, right? So now what I'm doing is I'm using the board as the main bus, and I'm putting things together on the screen up here. So let's see. So the overhead is 4. The room is 4. The bus is 4. You can set these up any way you want to. Cloud drum is another instrument that we have in here. That's going to be on 5. The next one, the wave, is going to be on 6. The bass is going to be on 7. And the acoustic guitar is going to be on 8. And slide this over. What else we got? Acoustic guitar, that's all we got? Okay, so I have other instruments there, but they're not playing. Okay, so now, just for what we have, let's see what we got. Okay, so everything here is already on the board where we want it at, right? So let's see what we got. Okay, let's see what we got. All right, so we got a kick drum, got snare, we got hi-hats. Remember, we put the room, the overheads, and the bus right here on 4. Okay, and then on 5 we have the cloud drum, and then on 6 we have the wave. And then on 7 we got the bass. On 8 we've got the acoustic guitar. There it is. Okay. There it is. And we've got this on 3, group 3, coming out down here on group 3. So because it's not on the mains. It's not on the mains, it's on group 3. Okay, see that? And so that, now we haven't even got into any of the EQs or anything like that. We'll tackle stuff like that later, okay? But I wanted to show you how we come in here and we get our mix. I showed you how we got a mix last time when we were doing Teach Us to Pray. Okay? So we turn this down a little bit. Okay, just a little bit. And there it is. That's the slightest little mix. Everything coming out of group 3. We have nothing in group 2 or the mains. Okay, we haven't even covered the mutes or the pre-fade listens. We haven't covered any of the panning. We haven't done any of the routing. We haven't done any of the equalizer, the routing, or the equalizer section. You know, we haven't even done any of the gain staging. You know, we barely touched on this stuff and the limiters. Okay, so I'll tell you what I want to tell you, because you see this now. What I want to let you know is that there's other things. If you notice, if you look at the top here, you have XLRs and you have quarter-inch inputs. Now, an XLR input is the is the 3-point input for your microphone cables, and then a 1/4-inch input is just a regular guitar cable. Okay, now I want to show you guys something, because if you get one of these boards, you're going to want to do this. Okay, so now what I did was I bought these plugs. This plug right here will go into your 1/4-inch slot, and you just plug it in like that, and that'll keep the dust out. And then you have plugs like these. These are the male plugs, and they cover up your XLR male plugs. Okay, it's just an empty slot. You just plug it down over the top of your XLRs, female plugs. I'm sorry. And then you have one for the male plug, because you have a plug that has three points in it. That's your male plug because it's got 3 points in it. You know. And then there's a cover for those. It's a little bit smaller. So this one is for your males, and then the other one I just showed you is for the females. And the ones for the males have little ridges on the side. Okay, so you can get these on Amazon, and what that does is it keeps the dust out of your system. And I vacuum and dust in here like every other day, because I have a carpet on the floor that I'm on, and carpet gets fibers up in the air. And so I have to dust a lot. Since I don't have hardwood floors or wood floors, you want to make sure that you keep the dust down off of your equipment, because that's what gets your pots scratchy. When you're turning your knobs and you're starting to hear scritchy, 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 that means you need to clean your pots. So you're going to have to do your own studio maintenance to make sure that your board, especially if you get one of these, stays clean and pristine. So I'm always vacuuming, sucking out the slots, and cleaning up everything to make sure that everything stays nice and tidy. You know, now that doesn't mean I don't have scratchy pots, because I have some gear that I've had for a while that needs to be cleaned. And something, you clean something, and then over on another side of the studio you get scratchy pots. You clean those scratchy pots, and then you'll find something else a couple days later that has scratchy pots. So you're going to always be cleaning scratchy pots. You're not going to get them all at once unless you tear everything apart and do everything all at once. And then that way, you know, your studio maintenance will be maybe 75, 80%, sometimes 90% all being done at once, and because some things will just collect more dust than others. So you just have to be aware, you know, when you have carpet on the floors, how often you dust and how often you vacuum, because carpet fibers break loose. You're walking on carpet, so they break loose, and then they float up about 6 inches off the floor. And then when you have air in your house or air conditioner or whatever, you know, your furnace is sucking portions of those particles up, but the stuff that's heavier lands right back down in your equipment. So I'm always covering things up with plastic and towels and things, but even towels will release fibers into the system. I just cleaned all the pianos today. I had to do the piano. So every other day I'm wiping down something or I'm cleaning something. If you're in an environment where you don't have that much fiber, then you might be able to get away with cleaning once a week. But do clean your equipment. Take care of your equipment at least once a week. If you don't do it sooner than that. Me, it's every other day. Okay? So that's all I got for you, family. I just wanted to bring that to you and share that with you. So I'm hoping that that helped you out. And if you have this MTK, if you plan on getting this MTK, that's how you set it up. Always feel free to ask me any questions. You can ask me questions on the YouTube page. I'll be uploading more. I will. I just haven't been as available. Okay, and now I'm trying to make myself available to get back in here, because I just happened to turn on YouTube and was looking at something. I was talking to my brother about something and was looking at something, and my page came up, and I was like, oh, I didn't put a video up. So I do apologize. I'm sorry, you guys. I am so sorry. And then I got to some of you, and I tried to answer your questions, because you asked me questions a month ago, and some of you asked me questions longer ago, and I never got back to you. Like I said, my mother died. I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying Mama died, and it takes a while to get over that. You know, I mean, I did a video. Mama died on the 9th. I did a video on the 17th or something like that, or upload on the 17th. Well, just because I did it on the 17th doesn't mean I wasn't grieving. You know, I've had moments where I was just stuck on the floor and I couldn't get up, crying about my mama. Okay, and I miss my mama, y'all. I really miss my mother. So I'm going to get out of here before I get emotional on that one now. So I'm going to say goodbye to you. I hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you later. I hope everything is everything. If you need to get at me, you know you can always reach me you can reach me through the YouTube page, get at me through the YouTube page, or reach out and touch my email. My email is maxseville@gmail.com, maxseville@gmail.com. Okay, and I'll talk to you guys later.